Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wine with Jimmy channel. I am delighted to have you on board as always. Thanks for joining in the fun. So welcome to a series here, which is called Wines of the World. That's the D3 section for the WSET Level 4. So as with all my videos, they are designed to help anybody get more out of wine, but really specifically aimed at those of you studying the world of wine. So it has all of the facts and figures and information that one needs really in order to pass examinations. Here we're looking at northwest Italy. So this is one of those add-on sections for northwest Italy. The Val d'Aosta and Liguria are not a part of the syllabus for diploma, but I have added them in as they are very interesting regions to learn about. But just to reiterate, they're not a part of the diploma syllabus. So this is extracurricular. So if you are one of these that really does value their time and don't want to learn anything extra because you're just trying to get through for your examination, of course, please do skip through Series 7 and Series 8 and then move on to Central Italy. But if you're like me and you're fascinated by these areas, let's get rocking and rolling. If you do have any comments or questions or concerns, please do pop them in the comments section below this video. You can click like because it helps me, and you can click subscribe because it means you get regular updates from us. You can also find the social media at the bottom of every slide. So we're looking at the Val d'Aosta, and we're here at part 2 talking about its very unique climate and of course some very interesting grape growing techniques in such a cold area. Talk about the heroic viticulture that one finds in this region. So yes, let's get rocking and rolling with some dramatic pictures to really give us the backdrop of this area. So more than 60% of the Valle d'Aosta is above 2,100 meters. And here you'll see Monte Bianco or Mont Blanc if you're on the French side. This is the highest peak of the Alps at somewhere around 4,810 meters. Now, this landscape was formed by glaciers during the last ice age. That's about 2 million to 10,000 years ago. And 4% of the Val d'Aosta's total surface is in fact still covered by glaciers. Lots to discuss there around climate change and the problem here with these glaciers shrinking. The glacial mass and permafrost loss is in fact serious concerns for water supply and the region's well-being. And there's actually an agency dedicated to studying how the region is changing. We are generally, though, a continental climate, but we would say it's an alpine continental climate that has long, cold winters, short, warm summers with fairly decent levels of sunlight, about 2,200 hours of sunlight per year. We are continental, so there are definitely quite wide, I was going to say wild, but wide diurnal swings, so quite large diurnal swings. Wild would be a very interesting way of describing it. Now, Val d'Aosta's vineyards are found on slopes along the river called the Dorobaltea. This is the region's principal river, and we find that it runs its way from the Alps down into the Po. It originates next to Mont Blanc. It goes for about 10 miles. And it's in a valley, so you have mountains on either side. So the Boltea is actually right at the bottom down here, as you'll see, right at that bottom area. The mountains that you can see shelter the valley below by blocking wind and clouds, and the highest peaks create a rain shadow effect. Now, this picture is in fact looking from the far eastern side of the Val d'Aosta, looking towards the west, so looking up the Dorobaltea, going towards Mont Blanc or Monte Bianco. So you can note on this picture how the valley at the bottom loses the snow first. So you'll see that it's on the bottom, but also all on this side. So this is in fact the northern slopes, which are facing south. And the snow is melting there because it is warmer on those sides. And that is why in this area, aspect is very important, and site location in order to ripen the grapes is very, very important. 95% of the Valle d'Aosta's vineyards are found on slopes, and we generally have limestone as geology with some schist, and on the valley floor there will be some alluvial soils, but most of it is of course on slopes. Now, in these pockets of terracing, you have the pergolas here, lovely pergola vines, as you'll see. So pergolas are an overhead training system. They provide very good sunlight exposure to the vine by holding the canopy in the air horizontally here, so creating basically like a ceiling above it. Now, this is actually the view from the ground, and you can normally easily walk underneath these pergolas. So note that there are stone supports, and also note that you've got the wooden beams going across the top here. The grapes are typically would hang from the top of this canopy. It is still quite early on in the season, however, there. And pergolas tend to be shorter, that's around 3 feet in colder areas, and have stone supports, whereas in warmer areas they can be up to 10 feet with wood supports. The reasoning for that is being closer to the ground, it benefits from the heat of that ground, and that's why they have a lot of stone there as supports as well to trap the heat too. Mechanization is impossible. It's all done by hand, of course, and many of them are dotted around. They're non-contiguous, dotted around sites. It's crazy. And as you drive up, if you're driving up from Piemonte and you cross the Piemonte border at the southern part of the Val d'Aosta, that's just beyond Carema, and you pass through villages like Donas, for example, you follow the Doroboltea, and it really is quite difficult to see where the vineyards are. You have to always look on the north slope, which faces south, but there are in small pockets. Sometimes you just cannot find them. There's very little viticulture, certainly in certain areas of the Val d'Aosta. Well, thank you so much for joining me here on part 2, looking at the climate and the grape growing of this small, well, the smallest region of Italy. Please do join me next for white grape varieties, which will only be available on my e-learning portal. That's over at www.winewithjimmy.com. As always, if you do have any questions, if you have any comments, maybe you have a concern, please do pop it in the comments section below this video. Make sure you click like, make sure you click subscribe. And if you do find yourself in the United Kingdom and you are twiddling your thumbs, then come and see me at one of my establishments for a class, a glass or a bottle. I've been Jimmy Smith. Ciao for now. Bye-bye.